On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our Life Science Investor Forum. Our next presentation of the day is from Hemostemix. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Thomas Smink, President and Chief Executive Officer of Hemostemix, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol HMTXF and on the TSXV under the symbol HEM. Welcome back, Thomas.
Thank you very much. Great to be back, and welcome to the Hemostemix presentation. A quick place to start is, we're a stem cell company, but for most people, when you mention stem cells, they are unaware that there are really two primary sources of stem cells. There's stem cells that come from your own body, and those are autologous, and there's stem cells that come from a donor's body. Those are allogeneic. Hemostemix is the leading autologous stem cell company in the world. Management and the board have more than $10,500,000 invested in the equity since March of 2020, and we invite you to join us, as this is a significant opportunity. Obviously, I will make forward-looking statements in this presentation to give you an understanding of where the company is moving toward in terms of our market, commercialization, and clinical trials. Our vision is to be the number one regeneration of circulation stem cell company. We have very good evidence that ACP01, otherwise known as VEST cell, increases circulation where the body signals that need. We have treated to date peripheral arterial disease, diabetic foot ulcer, critical limb ischemia, the most severe form of peripheral arterial disease, angina, congestive heart failure, ischemic cardiomyopathy, which is the buildup of plaque in the arteries we hear about, non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy. This is thickening of the heart wall, which reduces its ability to pump blood, and vascular dementia and total body ischemia. Imagine the buildup of plaque in the total arterial system. So in this presentation, I'm going to answer three questions. In biotech, the first question is, what is the evidence that it works? The second question is, what is the path and timeline to market? And the third obvious question is, what is going to be a good exit valuation? I want to show you, in terms of question one, how it works and what is the evidence that it works. Look at these results in our phase 2 double-blind randomized clinical trial. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and here is the proof. On the top left in slide A is a limb that is about to be amputated. This is called a no-option critical limb ischemia patient. And the slide on the right is the same limb 4 weeks after injection of ACP into the calf muscle of that limb. Notice how the toe, rather than being gangrenous, has healed. What ACP has done is it's migrated from the calf muscle to the toe and foot, and it has created new circulation where the body signaled it needed that new circulation. That's the benefit of using your own stem cells. They're educated, they're smart, they have a built-in GPS to home to the site of need, engraft at the site of need, and generate neovascularization, new circulation at the site of need. In the bottom slide, this heel is demonstrating this is now 12 weeks, that this ulcer has healed. And so whereas there is a 5-year mortality rate in this patient population that approaches 60%, the University of Toronto and the University of British Columbia posted and delivered a keynote address to the 41st meeting of vascular surgeons. And they said, 83% of the patients that they had treated and followed for 4.5 years had healing of ulcers, cessation of pain, and no amputation. Now, that was a blinded result. And when we unblinded those results, the 83% were treated patients with ACP. We published in the Journal of Biomedical Research and Environmental Science that there was statistically significant wound healing at 3 months. This is, to put in perspective, this is taking an average wound that is the size of a wild strawberry down to a wound that is the size of a grain of sand. So that is measured in millimeters squared. It would be 148 millimeters squared, taking that down to 0.48 millimeters squared within 3 months. At 1 year, the amputation rate was 4.8% in the treated group versus 25% in the placebo group. And mortality was 4.8% versus 12.5%. Obviously, that's significant. Let me describe for you why it works and how it works in the heart. In our heart study, which was published in Stem Cell Research and Therapy in October 2023, we published that left ventricle ejection fraction increased from 29% to 34.6% at month 4, and increased from 38% to there was a 24% increase by month 12. That in the group of patients who have buildup of plaque in the arteries. In the non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy group, those patients who have a thickening of the heart wall, we saw improvement from 25% to 33% at month 4, again, statistically significant, and a relative improvement of 47% at month 12. So again, clear statistical and clinical evidence that ACP homes to the site of ischemia or homes to the site of need, and grafts at the site of need, regenerates the site of need. So this is the last slide I'll take you through with respect to answering question number 1. What is the evidence that it works? And this is really our 7 clinical studies on one panel. I know it's a very busy slide, but nonetheless, it really hammers home the point that this works. So in the first open label study on the left, we had 6 patients treated for critical limb ischemia. 5 of 6, 83%, notice that number again, saved their limb from amputation. That was followed by a randomized phase 1 of 20 patients, all followed for 2 years. 10 patients received ACP, 10 patients received normal care. In the normal care group, there was 2 deaths and 75% of limbs amputated. In the treatment group, there was 0% mortality and 7 of 10, 70% of limbs saved from amputation. I already gave you the phase 2 double-blind randomized trial, 93.5% of treated limbs saved from amputation. Then there's 4 heart studies. The first one was of severe angina. This is no option patients who are maximally medicated, have no options left, and they were treated with ACP. What did we find? We found 4 significant findings. First, the chest pain they went from chest pain at rest to no chest pain at rest. They were able to walk the size of an additional football field in 6 minutes, 80 meters. They had a statistically significant increase in the blood oxygen level, known as metabolic equivalence. And they went from, and they had an increase in exercise capacity. Then 3 studies done by 3 different teams, one of 106 patients done by the former cardiologist to the King of Thailand, one of 41 patients done by the co-founder of the Minnesota and Bangkok Heart Institutes, and one of 54 patients done by a cardiologist in Florida and 2 colleagues in the Dominican Republic. What's interesting about this is that these 3 studies have the same statistically significant results in terms of the improvement of left ventricle ejection fraction. And so what we're seeing here, as published in the journal Stem Cell Research, was that we saw up to a 47% increase in those patients that had non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy, and about a 27% improvement in those patients that have buildup of plaque in the arteries. Hemostemix has a fully funded production agreement with our partner Cytoimmune, and this is supplemented by a 15-year agreement with the government of Puerto Rico, which sees 50% of every dollar of research and development returned to Hemostemix Puerto Rico in cash 1 time a year. These target markets are very large. If you look at the critical limb ischemia market, I sat yesterday with Dr. Shaw at University of Florida Shands in Gainesville, and we were talking about this global market. 236 million people worldwide have peripheral arterial disease. 23.6 million have the most critical form of it, critical limb ischemia. And there are approximately 5 million limb amputations done each year. Now, if you take 1% of that 5 million, namely the top 1% by income level, you can see that we have a very robust market. We are projecting to be cash flow positive by Q4 this time next year, 2026. And we're doing that by selling no option patients an option to regenerate circulation where the body signals that need, either in the limb or in the heart. And this is now commercially available in Florida. I spoke to the cardiologists and the vascular surgeons who participated in our previous clinical trials, and I asked them really 2 questions. Question 1, what's the number of patients that you can refer to us on a monthly basis? And question 2, what's the number of patients that we can refer to you for treatment on a monthly basis? And they told me that I can expect 6 to 16 patients a month inbound from them, and that they can treat 336 patients a month if we refer patients to them. What's interesting about Hemostemix is we're not just a one therapy company. We actually are a platform technology. We won the World Economic Forum Technology Pioneer Award for demonstrating that there is sufficient stem cells in 250 cc's of a patient's blood from which a therapy can be made. We went further, though. We have also patented the education of those stem cells to become angiogenic, to create new circulation, or to become neuronal, to create new nerve-like cells, or to be educated to become cardiomyocyte, new heart cells. And so what makes this so scalable is that the procedure, the source of the stem cells, is the patient themselves. And on day 0, the patient has a blood draw of 250 cc's of blood. That is shipped to us on day 0. It is converted into ACP from day 1 through day 5. And on day 6, it goes through a quality control, quality assurance check while it is being shipped back to the treating physician, so that that patient and their ACP is in an appointment, a pre-scheduled appointment on day 7 with the treating physician. Why physicians and patients like this is because there are no ethical concerns with using your own stem cells. ACP has a very high cell viability. It's 100% safe to use your own stem cells. It's a very simple protocol to donate blood to yourself. There is low patient risk. And from the physician point of view, it meets their first edict, which is do no harm. And of course, it is accretive on a revenue basis. To put that into perspective, one doctor doing 4 blood draws, having a nurse in his office do 4 blood draws a day, meeting with those patients 1 week later to do 4 injections into the calf muscle, for example, would add at least $1 million of revenue to the practice. That generates 80 patients a month for Hemostemix. Our company was founded in Israel in 2003. We won the World Economic Forum Technology Pioneer Award in 2005. And this timeline takes you through when we completed each of the 7 studies and published our results. In terms of the competition, you may have read recently in the heart area of the treatment of heart disease, BioCardia recently failed its phase 3 clinical trial. LifeCells is here to give you one data point on an exit. They were bought by AbbVie for approximately $2.8 billion. Biogen Cells is a peripheral blood-based autologous stem cell company. They are completing a phase 2 trial in critical limb ischemia. They've announced some interim results and have announced that they're having difficulty recruiting patients. So our path to market is really the treatment of no-option patients in Florida, which just passed in July, SB 1768. This is an acknowledgement that patients have the right to try an autologous stem cell treatment if they have no options and they are in pain. The provision is that the doctor has to stay in his swim lane, is probably the easiest way to explain it, stay within his area of practice. And there has to be obviously full informed consent, and the company has to be very detailed in terms of defining that this is a non-FDA approved treatment. Meanwhile, we've treated 498 patients safely with significant clinical evidence and statistically significant results. We're moving through our timeline to production very well. We are on schedule to have cells available commercially in December. And to take you through our cap table, we have approximately 144 million shares issued, about 70 million warrants that are extant, approximately 12 million warrant options that are issued. We do have one convertible debenture, which will be converted into shares. It's a 5-year secured convertible debenture, and that converts at 17.5 cents per share. Take you through our cash flow projection. This is a very conservative cash flow projection based on treating 20 patients a month and growing to 40 patients a month. You'll see here that we've got capacity at 75% utilization of existing capacity at Cytoimmune. And over 5 years, this generates $53 million in free cash flow. I think, at 20 patients a month or 40 patients a month, this is a very conservative cash flow projection. So the key takeaways are it works. ACP is a breakthrough treatment for no option patients treated for critical limb ischemia and other cardiovascular diseases such as angina, ischemic and non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy. We have generated a forward sale program, which is the first of its kind in biotech. It's approved by the Toronto Stock Exchange. And what I've done is I've come up with a way for patients to understand if they are patient number 23 or number 24, where they are in line. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm selling them a treatment convertible debenture. This pays the patient 6% interest while we use their cash to ramp up the company. It enables the patient and the physician to schedule the treatment. It enables the company to schedule production at increasing rates based on forward sales. The Act 60 is a very significant program. It's by far the best R&D reimbursement program in the world, and it sees the company generate 50 cents back in cash for each dollar of R&D development. Management and the board have now $10.5 billion invested since March of 2020. ACP is effective because it is sourced from the patient's blood. It's cultured in the patient's own blood serum, and it's completely autologous. Therefore, it's safe and it's effective. We have, it is protected. The company has a vast patent portfolio of 91 patents, and this product is scalable. We have a team that has more than 20 years of production experience that is ramping up production as we speak. Now, I wanted to talk to you about the last point, which is a likely exit. In 2024, we saw a return. There was a return to M&A and a return to investment in biotech, which has been followed for most of 2025. There was 191 billion invested in life sciences in 24, and 6 M&A deals generating 2.4 billion, with the number one deal generating about a $1 billion exit. Now, the other point here is that the upper end of the exit is really probably best defined by what Bristol Myers paid for myocardia. And there this is the treatment of non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy. They paid 13.8 billion cash for mavacamten, and mavacamten had a label restriction at the time that they paid 13.8 billion cash. What it said was anyone who had non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy who had an ejection fraction of 50% or less should not be on mavacamten. So they essentially paid 13.8 billion cash for the treatment of non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy between 65% left ventricular ejection fraction and 50% left ventricular ejection fraction. Meanwhile, Hemostemix has published that we have been able to treat left ventricular ejection fraction in this patient population right down to less than 20%. And so I think the opportunity here is very significant. Our current market valuation is less than 20 million, and you've got an opportunity to buy into a company that has commercial product available December this year, will be positively cash flowing within the next a annual 1 year, and has a platform technology. And with that, I will take your questions. So first question, how does the partnership with Cytoimmune in Puerto Rico provide cash flow and tax advantages for our operations and R&D? As mentioned, the R&D supplement is 50% of each dollar that is spent in R&D in Puerto Rico. And so this is a very significant in that for each it's $500,000 of cash back on each $1 million of R&D, and we have a significant R&D pipeline. While I have focused this presentation on answering the three questions: what is the evidence that it works? What is the evidence, or when are we going to be in cash? And what is our ability to generate an exit? The R&D platform of this company as a platform technology company is very significant. And to do that with 50-cent dollars is a very significant advantage. The next question is, what is the regulatory milestones for ACP in the US and Europe? Great question. Our first regulatory hurdle is really Florida. So I think we've talked about that in terms of being a treatment for no option patients in Florida. Meanwhile, we have phase 2 results that beg for a phase 3 clinical trial. There's two ways to do that. One way to do that would be to dilute the company, raise money, and fund a phase 3 clinical trial. The other way to do that would be to fund the phase 3 clinical trial from cash flow. And that is the option that we have chosen. So we will make application for a phase 3 clinical trial. We will fund that from cash flow. And so we're really focusing on through the forward sale of treatments to generate the cash that will pay for the phase 3 clinical trial. The last point here is taking a basket approach to this disease, to these diseases that we have treated successfully at the end stage of the disease process. So imagine, and consistent with what the FDA has recently stated in their roundtable, they're interested in cell and gene therapy companies that can break the current standard of care pill treatment model. And what we are proposing is a basket approach, a phase 1 basket approach. Rather than treat the end stage of the disease process, treat the beginning stage of the disease process, the first medically relevant time that someone's diagnosed with vascular dementia, peripheral arterial disease, congestive heart failure, ischemic cardiomyopathy, angina, dilated cardiomyopathy. Treat these at the beginning stage of the disease cycle and demonstrate that just like ACP works at the end stage of this disease cycle, it works at the beginning stage. Maintain the quality of life that we have rather than go down the slippery slope of the standard of care and try and regenerate heart function at the end stage. So that's the approach we're taking, and we will be announcing. There will be announcements on that in the coming days. What is Hemostemix strategy for physician onboarding, center capacity, and treatment scale up as part of its commercialization pathway? Great question. So as mentioned, we're starting with the physicians who have treated with ACP and branching out from there. The physicians who have treated with ACP do not need any convincing that it works. They have read our 11 peer-reviewed publications. In many instances, they have contributed to those publications. and they are on board to offer no option treatments to the patients they know who can afford it. And so we're working really from the inside out. We have made recent announcements of the addition of a marketing and sales team, which has been working very diligently on contacting the next group of physicians. And so we'll use the physicians who have treated with ACP as reference physicians for those who are interested in treating with ACP. Our onboarding is very well laid out in terms of a critical path. We've in fact just had this conversation yesterday at the University of Florida Shands, and have put together a flow chart for them of exactly how we can onboard patients for treatment at their center. What are the revenue projections and the capital requirements that underpin our target? As mentioned, we have a cash flow projection of generating $53 million in free cash flow over the next 5 years, and we should be able to fund our phase 3 clinical trial from that cash flow. I believe that is my allotted time. I want to thank you very much for your questions. I encourage you to join me and the other members of the management team and board who've invested in Hemostemix. I think there's a very significant opportunity here, and welcome you to join us as a shareholder. Thank you very much.